dear brain conference. Some of you attended maybe the regularly second course lecture of our guest professor WALE Suleiman yesterday. Some of you second year students. Now WALE will present his state of the art lecture at biomedical forum. 29. This means 20 years. 29 years, academic years, we will regularly invite famous speakers for 3 lectures or 5 per term, additional term, 8, 9 lectures per academic year. This is tradition since democracy, 29 years. And now it's my privilege, let's say, honor, delightfulness to be overjoyed to present our former student, my student research associate, 93 maybe, 1997, WALE Suleiman. They were the same group with Anton. Anton graduated respectively 1 year because younger, 78. Russia, 97 as WALE. And Kamil, he is the oldest, he graduated 96. I will show you in photography. Anton, when I told Anton I will show this photograph in 1994, Anton told me, said to me, Uncle George, this is historical picture. It became historical indeed. I will show now. I will introduce WALE because he is not only guest professor, not only biomedical forum lecturer, he is very special guest for all of us. This is big university event to see how kids 20, 30 years ago grow so progressively. That is WALE. That is Anton. One of the best known researchers, WALE, all over the world, not Bulgarian. Contribution to Bulgarian science is nothing. Bulgarian contribution to science. He did, Bulgarian Nigerian. His department in top 25 in range in United States. Once WALE became head of the department, was 10 years, no research. Department progressed and be in top 25 in the United States. So, big appreciation, big achievement. The same our department, number 1 in Bulgaria, due to Anton. Of course, no doubt. So you get to enjoy your curiosity, caring sisters. I am responsible for anatomy and cell biology department. Maybe the same for other departments. I don't know. Now, by slides, Antonio, now by slides. So, quarter W, what means quarter W? Welcome, where is WALE? Open. Welcome, well lecture, well drink, and fourth W, WALE. Otherwise, the slogan of our BHF society, Brain and Heart Family, is triple W. We name this is our website, triple W. But this is formal in our language, biomedical, BMF language. This is welcome, well lecture, well drink. And now WALE, the fourth W. Here, WALE official. Officially, WALE. But abbreviated, he also used, I took from his name card, WALE. We all call him WALE. You may call him WALE, as you call me George and the top, for example, and Peter, but always the top. So WALE A.R. Suleiman, 1997, graduated from this university. he did in Canada. I will show later how he executed his dream. There is one. Later. What is this? Young colleagues, what is this? Royal College of Surgeons. Correct, Wally?
You are College of Surgeons, yes.
Correct?
Yes.
See, these are formal actually. I will here listed some additional. This is like, and indeed, brain and heart friend. Since 1994, when you were second or grade student, we are always brain and heart, BSW, brain and heart friend forever. Next. Now, these are 3 titles. I can select 4, 10 titles, but to be KISS, my students know to keep in short and simple, KISS. To keep on this KISS, only 3. So WALE, from Reds to Miss. What is Miss? Double S is all charming Misses. Miss, double S. Here's one S. What is Miss? This abbreviation? Somebody knows? No? Red doesn't.
Minimal invasive chirurgy. Minimaal invasieve chirurgie.
You are which course?
No,
27, I think.
I'm 67 because with my wife we started 1996. So we are younger than me.
Only 22 years. Past.
Because you are talking. Angel, Angel. Professor Angel. So, minimal invasive surgery. So, why also during that period of time, why also double S? You got it. WALE, in your student year, you might miss with double S too. Oh boy. Many girls for dating him. So the second, why I put from Reds to Miss. When WALE knocked on my door in my lap downstairs, where is medical press, university medical, it was my lab. Electron microscopy, cell biology. I want to work with research. He said, before him, Anton said, Russia said, and Kamen said, so we make a group. I will show a picture. Karol, Kamen, Anton, Russia, Ola, Ule, WALE. Step by step. And that time we used to use, for research, we used rats, predominantly rats, sometimes rabbits, sometimes mice, but rats. So, while you remember,
yes, sir.
The first, I prefer Father George than Sir. I told you.
It's an American kid.
I want.
Yes, Father George.
So, when Anton was experienced, because 1 year before Wallace, they joined my home. And another, Carmen and Russia. And Wallace first time, and one red stretched make it good on his finger, but deep enough. As Red Stewart singing, the first cut is the deepest. Red Stewart, 1970. So, boy, you remember what we did immediately after?
Put some alcohol on it. We put some alcohol on it.
This is not enough. So, this means my memory is more preserved than your memory, related to you, boy.
Anton, help.
Anton, help. What we did?
Anton.
What we did when Red make some kind of deeper, not deeper, but deeper wound. You remember? We went went to emergency, it was that time, night.
Oh, my
Who went immediately to emergency room to make injection, antitetanus
Tetanus, yeah.
antitetanus injection. Serum. This was what his first day, first meeting with Reds.
Yes.
And immediately emergency antitetanus serum. Okay, why? This is the story how it starts from Reds to minimal invasive nerve surgery. Another title is The Executor of a Dream. He told me, Father George, I would like to do a PhD first and next residence specialization, neurosurgery. My pleasure, buddy. I will do my best to pursue your dream. So I sent him to my friend in Canada, Ron Matheson, in Calgary, and he did neuroscience PhD according to your dream. This is why I call the executor of a dream. And next in States, got specialization. It was 10 years professorship, head of department, etc. You'll see. And this is the story how I went from student partner to a professor in New Orleans. Next, Antonio. This is the name card of Wally, part of it. See how many positions, system directors, co-directors, etc., etc. Big administrative position too. Okay, next. Email is there. Email is there. Website is there. See now, Carol. Carol. Carmen, for example, 5 years, medical student. Russia, now pediatrician, social professor in pediatrics here in our school. Russia, 4th year student, Wally, 4th year, and Tom 3rd year, for example. 94, 97, Wally graduate, should be 3rd year, for example. Oh no, for just a moment. Now, Carol. Carmen, Anton, Rusa, Olga, Wally. I told you official name. It became Carol. This is exhibition photographic of my son. See some of his picture here. This is picture took from the pub here by my school, Royal Free Hospital School of Medicine. The pub is called the George. I used to drink my whiskey there. Only after work, not before. Next, chronologically, the day here, right here, 23, last Saturday, evening, this is one here, right? 23rd, dinner, welcome dinner. My book, George 50 Years Innocence, how smile time, how satisfied with progress of my university kid. He called me Father George, I call my university kid. So mutuality. If not mutuality system, not survive. Previous, this is Anton named this way. He arranged the scenario. It became Jarro, George, Anton, Russia, one. Russia is traveling to Japan. She cannot attend the lecture. We spend time together.
So only the K is missing here. Only the K.
K is Kamen Volchanov. He born 70, one is also 70, but he spent 7 years here because first year all foreign students they studied 1 year in Sofia, Bulgaria. There are not English course for foreign students. Bulgarian. Okay. One was born 5 September 97. Kamen 25 December 27 Christmas. Kamen is a position consultant and is lower vice position physician in Cambridge, the biggest cardiothoracic surgeon. All excellent students became excellent.
So now, if you let me interrupt you, I have a special surprise.
One more? Okay. Douglas,
This is coming.
Carmen! Carmen! Yeah, he used to make some surprise, positive surprise. He's very positive, Anton. Boris? Amen de very much.
He looks good.
Yes. I don't recognize him.
Yeah, we already did it.
Where is he coming from?
We're not in a hurry, it's all but next is the common voice. So he became, to be consultant in UK is highest clinical position. It's true, Dr. Encher? Yes. It's true. One is true?
Yes, sir.
It's true. Oh, one is.
Yes, Father John.
Excuse me, I like to, I missed to introduce one of our BHF and very close BHF of Wale, engineer, computer IT expert in English Bank in London, Moses. Moses, this is just, boy. That's done. Moisés, dígame, ¿cómo se puede?
So let's go on. Basically, what he says is, to Wale, welcome to your alma mater. The basic message.
We repeat, welcome Wale to your alma mater.
Yes.
Studiorum, the best nutrition for brain. And now we'll show this picture. What's happened the same stuff. Next button. So now the most important picture I like to show. So Wale progressed not only in medicine, in neurosurgery, neuroscience first. See, neuroscience based neurosurgery. The best neurosurgeon can be based on neuroscience, based neurosurgery. This is what he chose this dream. He student did. I just helped him to do. See Wale with Patricia. Charming Patricia. See how charming Patricia. And Wale, of course he is charming, but not terminology for boy. Just strong boy. And Patricia, next. Patricia with 2 boys. This is the girl. This is the daughter. Just a moment. Just a moment. Zainab. The daughter. One, I forgot the year.
9, 11, and 13.
9, and is Rahim and Najib, respectively 13 and 11. And next one, family, see the bit. Wali, daughter, son, wife, another son. So one is promised in reproductive biology too. The soul did and doing Ruja. She is the only for Carlo, another student of mine, some 20. She refused to send her in Western country as well as others because she said, I'm married, I kept 1 kid that time. I have to care of my parents, they are old. So she left here to improve demographic crisis of Bulgaria, WALE. And she having 2 boys and 1 girl. My favorite, Gergana, is the youngest. And boys, student in Western, in Vienna now, etc. So she left here to solve demographic crisis. So enjoy it. I wish you, I gave some much wishes from our family. Be excellent in biomathematics. Tell wife, Vaki, Vojibiti, and in Bulgarian, Babuleti, Daduleti, Prababuleti, Pradaduleti. This is the wishes for all of you. I gave some colleagues these messages. Now, it's Wali's turn. Okay, Wali.
I don't know how to follow that. I don't know how do you follow that.
Аз не мога. Само първия ред, най-отпред, където не съм за прожекция. Да се угаси първия ред. Окей. Супер. It's okay.
I thought I forgot Bulgarian. Thank you so much for coming. I don't know how to follow that. For the judge was so gracious. I'm so happy and overjoyed to be here. Where's Father? I'm going your word, overjoyed. I'm overjoyed to be here. I think I want to say a few things. I think the story I'm going to tell you now is about a dream. I'm just getting over a cold. I think some of you are medical students, some of you are consultants, some of you have done everything you want to do in your life. But I'm going to tell you about my own journey. And I think the importance you're going to find out is mentorship. The time we were in Bulgaria, during the time that we spent in Bulgaria, it was not like this. We went through Bulgaria during a time when We couldn't go out with our girlfriends, walk on the streets easily. There was some tension. But at the same time, we had somebody like Father George that could take a kid from Lagos, Nigeria, and bring him under his arm and say, this kid wants to do something, and I'm going to invest in him. I'm going to make sure he achieves his dream. That's mentorship. That's a Renaissance man. That's somebody who thinks further ahead beyond what's in front of him. So please, before you even listen to anything I have to say, I want you to recognize Father George once again. Please. Give him a round of applause. So, everything that I've accomplished, everything that I've done, the journey started here. And you all need to be very proud. This is a wonderful, wonderful university. This is where you get the foundation and the background to go anywhere in the world, as long as you stay focused, you work extremely hard, and you're confident in your abilities to do what you want to do. So when it says brain, heart, and friend, it's not about what you know, it's about the network, it's about the people you know, and the shoulders you can stand on. So I'm going to take you, so Antonio has given me 45 minutes to an hour to go through the last 25 years, which is going to be a hard task. I'm a very proud Nigerian. From Nigeria, that's Lagos. So looking at Lagos in that slide. You guys know us for football, we play a lot of foot soccer. But you don't know that Nigeria has the largest economy in Africa, or the highest oil exporting country in the world. I bet you don't know that. Very rich culture. People are very well educated. Anywhere you go in the world, there are Nigerians there. So ambition is part of what we grew up with. If you can't dream it, you can't do it. If you cannot dream it, you can't do it. You have to think of something, you have to be able to visualize it. Even as a young kid, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I wanted to be somebody big. I didn't grow up in this area. I'll show you in a second. So I like this quote by Salaskaya. If living conditions don't stop improving in this country, this is the United States, we're going to run out of humble beginnings for our great men. There's nothing to be ashamed of being from a humble background. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I grew up in this household. This was my house when I was growing up. I was born here. I was born in this house. I grew up there. I lived in that house to the age of 18. But I was very curious. I knew that I wanted to be somebody. I knew that education was an outlet. That was my escape. So the African proverb said, not to know is bad, but not to wish to know is even worse. So curiosity needs to be your number one priority. You need to continue to improve yourself. Lean on the shoulders of your mentors. That was my high school, primary school, elementary school. That was where I did my primary one, that classroom. You can see the only toys that we had were tires. That we could play with the tires. Those were the toys. That was my elementary school. This is my secondary school. I went to St. Mary's College. This was one of the Catholic secondary school, very good school, very prestigious school. Then after high school, I went to university for about 1 or 2 semesters in Nigeria, University of Ilorin. You can see back in the days when you enter university, you had to do matriculation. That was us wearing uniform to enter university. That was me in my hostel room, right here. I was still skinny and energetic at that time. So from tomorrow belongs to those. This is how the preparation of the mind started. Then, fast forward to Bulgaria. You have this 19-year-old kid. I'd never seen snow in my life. I came to Bulgaria. I had to learn a language, a completely new language. And the slide on the left-hand side, that was a language school in Sofia. We were learning the alphabet, we're learning the language. They told us to get involved, we need to get a girlfriend and watch the news. Then you can practice the language. We became very good at the language actually. And then the first time I saw snow, I was so excited as a kid, you know. So I changed the topic of my talk a little bit because I think I want to describe my journey for you. There's this thing we talk about, MD, PhD, academic neurosurgery. I want to do research, I want to be a neurosurgeon. Is it realistic? Is it a myth or is it realistic? So those are my titles, but let me just tell you, I can't, nobody can do all these things by themselves. You're as good as your team. The people that work for me or work with me are the people that make me look good. And you have to surround yourself with good people. So a lot of what I'm going to show you is not just my work, it's the work of the team. Basic scientists, neurosurgeons, neurologists. So we're going to keep going. This is our medical school students. This was in this same auditorium, I think.
Yes.
In 1991. I think you probably recognize someone. I think Yana is in the audience. She's right here. She's in that picture right there. That's Victor, that was me. And this was our physiology class. The professor said, let's take a picture. Well, I didn't know that we use this picture today. That was our medical school class. First dissection, doing anatomy sections. That's Nikolai. That's Matei, Victor. This was when we started clinical work. This was at St. Marina. That was the stethoscope, trying to be a cool doctor. And then I was interested in research because I was curious. I wanted to know more. Because sometimes when you do medical school, everything is written up for you. That's just, you have to know the physiology and anatomy, you have to know the facts, you have to know the data. That's important. You can't underestimate that. Well, you could actually free think when you're doing research. You could generate questions and try and answer them. So that was what attracted me to research. And Father George was gracious enough to didn't take on, what is this Nigerian kid? He didn't say, oh, you're not Bulgarian or you're not this skin color, you're not this religion. He just said, look, he's curious. Curiosity was the only thing I needed. And he welcomed me, and the rest of it, you work hard and you keep going. In this same auditorium, 1994, Father George, 94, 95.
You graduated?
This is Amsterdam, after the summer school in Amsterdam. This is biomedical forum.
This is after 1996 so far,
Yeah.
you remember better than me.
This is biomedical forum in this same auditorium. After I came back from summer school, we gave a talk, I gave a presentation. Again, that's my best friend. You can see we've been best friends since 1990. That's Moses. He's still sitting here today. That's Moses right there. You see? We both look a little bit older now. And then, our first publication, my first ever research publication, 1998. They were very nice to me. They just put my name in there. They did most of the work. But that was our first main publication. Antonio, remember? Antonio's been such a gracious, always consistent, always working hard. I'm very grateful for putting this together. It's been a very good experience. So that was our first publication. Carmen graduation. Carmen cannot be here, but this was Carmen at his graduation. The gentleman that you saw me hug when we started, when he came in, right there. That's Professor BMF, right there. You see, those pictures, you have to always lean on people to be able to keep doing what you're doing. We are friends. These were our classmates. One of them was getting married, so we went to their celebration. My family was Father George and Carol. When I was here, when I graduated, these were the people that actually were around. And then you can see Antone had more hair. It was Antone. And this is Ron Matheson. That's the guy that took me to Canada through Father George. I went to do a summer research, And then after about 3-6 months, I started the PhD. I moved to another university to start a PhD in neurosciences. I think we went on a tour. We went somewhere and we took some pictures. So this was me in Canada starting to do research. This was my master's in, spent 3 to 6 months there. So that's when the story that Father just showed you started. So soulmates are people who bring the best in you. They're not perfect, but they're always perfect for you. A lot of what I've done, I wouldn't have been able to do it if you don't have a good partner. Because the ambition can really destroy stuff. But if you have a dedicated partner that understands that you're on this journey together, it takes you far. It takes you really far. So, since 1997, almost 22 years together. So, PhD thesis. Again, I told you I'm going to take you on a journey. Then from there, we went to University of Alberta, where I did my PhD. And the PhD was neurobiology, nerve injury, and regeneration. So, I told Moses, I warned him, I said, at some point, I'm going to start talking science. I'm going to lose him a little bit. So, everything I know about nerve injuries and regeneration, these people taught me. This is Tessa Gordon, Dr. Tessa Gordon, who was my PhD supervisor. She's a world-renowned neurobiologist when it comes to nerve injuries and regeneration. She's well-known. She taught me everything I know about neurobiology. This is Dr. David Klein. So David trained everybody that does peripheral nerve surgery in the United States, almost in the world. Professor Enches can testify to that. I trained with David Klein. I actually moved to New Orleans because of David Klein. When he retired, he called me to come and take over his practice. I took over his practice. This is Dr. Peter Wood. So this guy designed the technique to culture Schwann cells. We call it the Wood technique. How you culture Schwann cells from nerves. He designed it. So we call it the Wood technique. He was my external examiner for PhD on Miami project, University of Miami. So everything I know about what I'm saying, I learned from them. So this is the clinical problem. If you have a brachial plexus injury or a sciatic nerve injury, if you look at the central nervous system, I'll show you a slide, and you look at the peripheral nervous system, obviously when you have a spinal cord injury, regeneration is limited because of scar tissue. In the peripheral nerve, the nerves have an intrinsic capacity to regenerate, but it doesn't translate into clinical observations. Patients don't improve. And one thing we found out is that if you look at injury in the brachial plexus, by the time the nerve grows at 1 millimeter a day by an inch a month. By the time it gets to the muscle, the function is very poor. So nobody really quite understands that. The problem is, in the United States, in order to be able to get funding, you have to provide a social justification. This problem was affecting the youth. Motorcycle accident, motor vehicle accident. So it was the most productive part of the society. So we have to deal with it. Let's talk about the basics. I said to you that if you have a nerve injury, anytime a nerve is injured, the neurons have to survive. They have to be able to begin to sprout, begin to send regenerating pseudopodia. They have to be able to get a receptive nerve to be able to take the regeneration and take it to the end organ, so that you can get your sensation, your movement, or your bladder bowel function. So those prerequisites are very essential. In the peripheral nervous system, those steps happen. In the central nervous system, because of astrocytic glare, scar tissue, the nerves cannot regenerate very well. But even in the peripheral nervous system, it doesn't translate to good function. Why? So what we used to tell, so what we don't know why patients don't recover well. In the 40s and the 30s, there's some experiments were done where they concluded that it's because of muscle atrophy, muscle denervation atrophy. So the nerve is injured, the muscle deteriorates, and then the nerves cannot reconnect to the muscles. We did a series of experiments to disprove that. We know the anatomy of the nerves. These are some slides from our own surgery. You can see the nerve is not just a tubular structure, it's very complicated. We also know how to diagnose nerve injuries. We can see from the exam. There's an atrophy on the left-hand side. We can do EMGs, we can do MRIs, we can do CT myelograms. We can see what's wrong, we can diagnose it. We also know the anatomy. We talked about brachial plexus anatomy yesterday with some medical students, and we went through detailed examination. We can classify the different types of injuries, so neuropraxia, neurotoensis, acidotoensis, and the Sunderland classification. We know the basic clinical stuff. The question is, we know so much, yet we can improve function in patients. We can predict, I don't know what's wrong with that slide, but we can predict what would happen based on your type of injury. If it's a neuropraxic injury, 8 to 12 weeks, you get better. Acidotoenic injury, this is a grade 2 Sunderland. Then we know the rate of regeneration, and then if it's a cut injury, we know we have to do something more intensive. This was the time I spent with David Klein in New Orleans. You know, he taught me everything I know about peripheral nerve. That's the David Klein, that was me, scrubbed in surgery. This was right after Katrina. It was a bad time in New Orleans. That hurricane Katrina, things were really bad. But we still did quite a lot of brachial plexus surgeries. That's Klein. I actually met Dr. Klein when I was doing my PhD. I went to Vienna. This is in Vienna. That picture there, to give a presentation on my PhD thesis. And then, so Dr. Klein changed one thing. If you're looking at the nerve that's injured, grossly, you can't tell which one is normal, which one is abnormal when you're in surgery. Dr. Klein introduced intraoperative NAP, nerve action potential, where you can stimulate and record and see whether there's conduction. If there's no conduction, you cut the nerve and do a graft repair, or you mobilize the nerve. If there's conduction, you do a neurolysis. That changed the way we treated nerve injuries. Because then you're not cutting normal nerves. You can actually use electrophysiology to determine what's good and what's not good. So that revolutionized everything for us. He did a lot of surgeries. I'm not sure where that's coming from. A lot of this series of publications from nerve injuries is from Dr. Klein. So what we have shown, Anton, I'm not sure what is that. There's some artifact somewhere. So we know the neurobiology. So this is a summary slide, which kind of shows that, you know, when the nerve is injured, there are 3 processes that are going on. Chromatolysis, which is essentially the neuron transforms from a nerve action potential transmission phase to a regenerative phase. And so they downregulate all the things that are related to action potential. So, like the cat, ACH, the neurofilament is downregulated, therefore the 3 tubulin and actin that are needed for regeneration are upregulated. In the proximal nerve stem, there's that phenomenon, which they retract a little bit, and then while they're on degeneration on the distal nerve stem. That's essentially preparing the nerves for regeneration. Okay? Those are the key steps. And those are linked to both phenotypic and genotypic changes. The genotype changes from action potential to regenerative mode. So this is what we show. So what we have shown is Schwann cells' capacity to support axonal regeneration is time limited. The neuronal capacity to support axonal regeneration is time limited. And delayed reanimation can lead to progressive decline in the capacity of Schwann cells to support regeneration of neurons to grow. Some publications. So I'm going to, this is how we did it. The experiments that were done in the 40s essentially cut the nerve and then looked at the muscles and see what happened with the muscles over time. So if you do that, what you will see is that, of course, you see muscle atrophy, but you're not looking at the spinal cord, you're not looking at the proximal stump and the distal nerve stump. So we came up with this surgical paradigm where we can isolate the effect of delayed repair on the spinal cord, on the neurons, on the proximal stump, on the distal nerve stump, and on the muscle. And we use different types of outcome measures. So we were able to look at, we were able to count each motor unit, where we could maximally stimulate and look at how many muscle fibers were actually renovated by the regenerating nerves. We could find out, we could follow them there. We would cut the nerve. Once we do the suture, we put some dye here, and we can actually look at the spinal cord and count the number of neurons that actually regenerated to the spinal cord. So we could actually look at, did they actually regenerate or not? Because we cut the nerve right close to the muscle. And if they get to the muscle, we look at whether they actually form functioning motor units. We did that. We also counted the number of nerve fibers that regenerated up to the muscle. We counted that. We did immunohistochemistry and all those other techniques. So what you find is, if you do that and you isolate the effect of each of the injury type, over time, the number of motor units and the number of motor neurons that regenerate over time with delay goes down. So that is not sustained, which means that the longer you delay, or the longer the distance that the nerves have to grow, the poorer the functional recovery. Because you lose all the growth supportive genes and proteins in the distal nerve stump, the neurons get tired. That's why babies do better than adults, because the distance is shorter. This is just demonstrating the same thing. If you look at axons or neurons, or you look at this is looking at the regeneration associated genes, like tubulin, actin, calcium. Over time, everything goes down within 2 months. In rats is within 2 months. And you can see all that demonstrated. So in summary, this is a review we wrote a while ago, just summarizing everything. So after the injury, everything's upregulated. The neurons upregulated in the Schwann cells, but over time, no strife. So if you're going to regenerate by a short distance, you do really good. If you have to go by a long distance, so nature has designed the upregulation of response to injuries to be short-lived. So if you require it to go from here to the hand, that takes a long time. Which means what? All the required molecules are not there to support regeneration. So one of the joys that as a PhD student that we all want to do is for our research to now become common knowledge, where we were able to deconstruct the old thinking. So now my PhD thesis finding is now what these neurosurgery residents now quote. That's what they talk about when they talk about. I write the book. I write the chapter for humans, which is the main textbook that neurosurgeons use. I write the pathophysiology chapter, and that's what based on our PhD thesis. Now people think about things differently than they used to think about it, based on all the research that we did. So it's something that if you look at the pathophysiology of surgical nerve disorders, I write that every time it comes out. So after PhD, trying to pursue the dream as described by Father George. Again, I was blessed to have good mentors. If you see me talk to a patient or do surgery or relate to people, all of my clinical demeanors, I learned it from this guy, Dr. Michael West. He's an outstanding neurosurgeon. I don't care whether you're the best neurosurgeon or the best scientist, he was an outstanding human being. A BHF. Every step of the way I met some really good, brilliant, heart-friendly people. Michael West was one of them. This was in Winnipeg, Nova Manitoba. I became a Canadian citizen, you know. During that time, I had my first son, Rahim. He was born at Saint Boniface. It was a French hospital. That was, neurosurgery was 6-7 years training then. So the PhD 3-4 years, and you do 6-7 years of neurosurgery. At that time, I was still doing research with Dr. Tessigodo. And he said, that's why education is good. The immigration, the permanent residency in Canada was sponsored by the university because of my research. I didn't even have to pay 1 cent. They just found for the immigration. We want this guy to stay here. So they paid for everything. They're no longer small. Rahim is as tall as me now. Actually, a little bit taller than I am. So, so what we've been working on in the last 15 years. Now I have my own lab. I've held a lab for since 2007, so probably about 12, 15 years. And we understand the problem now. We know that over time, both the number of neurons decline, the number of axons that regenerate decline, the capacity of Schwann cells to support regeneration decline. So we have to choose one of 4 strategies to be able to address these patient needs. I'm a clinician first because before I'm a researcher. Before I was a researcher, before I became a clinician. But now, all the problems I have to solve in my lab, in order for the hospital to be interested in it, I have to have clinical definition. So I have to relate everything I do to my patient. So, 4 strategies, we can either accelerate the rate of regeneration, which means we can capitalize on the time where all the molecules are high, reactivate Schwann cells and the neurons to kind of get them to a level where they can support regeneration. We can develop molecular strategies to make sure the motor axons go to the muscle and sensory axons go to the skin. So there's different ways we can do it. But what we have done over the last few years is how to kind of activate the Schwann cells and the neurons. So again, I'm taking through my journey. So I'm the medical director of the laboratory of neural injury and regeneration. Those are the people that do the work. You can see the people that actually. So I have all these titles, but I have a good team of people that work extremely hard to make all of us look good. So this is Dr. Wayne. He's actually a PhD scientist. He's not a clinician, but we all work together. Dr. Wayne, these are technicians. This is a postdoc. This is Dr. Uchukwu. He's a neurologist doing stroke research. We all work together in lab. So it's a very collaborative environment. These are some attempts to try and get the nerves to go faster. We use FK506, which is an immunosuppressant, to try and get the nerves to go faster. We use electrical stimulation. But today I'm going to focus on our strategy with TGF-beta, which is a transforming growth factor beta, and using that with phosphorus. Okay? The first thing we did was, what if we took very old nerves that have been denervated for more than 6 months, and we expose them to TGF-beta. TGF-beta regulates Schwann cell activities, and we will expose them to it in vitro, and then we use it to breed a freshly injured nerve without reactivating, without getting the regeneration better. So, we took 6 more denervated Schwann cells, we exposed them to TGF-beta and phosphorus, and then we put it in between the freshly injured nerves. So one part was reactivated, part was not activated. And if you look at control, how many axons actually regenerated? So we put it, so the Schwann cells were here. We allow regeneration for about 6 weeks, back later, and then we counted the axons and the neurons. So this is control, this is with phosphorus, TGF-beta. You can see when you expose them to TGF-beta, significant improvements in regeneration. So that was the first time that anybody has ever shown that you can use TGF-beta to fast track and promote regeneration. The second thing we did with Patchwood and Tessigodon was, okay, with these cells, this is not showing well, but this is looking at, of course, as we expected, if you injure them over time, the number of Schwann cells will go down. But if you expose them to dorsal ganglions, the cells can wake up. They can actually divide and proliferate, and that's what this is showing. And they can remyelinate axons. So if you take very old nerves and put it with dorsal ganglion in a petri dish, the nerves, the Schwann cells will actually interact with the dorsal ganglion neuritis and remyelinate and form new myelins. So they're dormant when they're whole. They're still, even in human, they're dormant. But if you reactivate them, they will wake up and they will actually interact with the cells. So there's something to be said, okay? So this concept of the muscles that degenerated and you can't reactivate them, I think it's not accurate. So this is looking at proliferation. This is with S100. I'm just looking at Schwann cell reactivation. The next thing we did was, okay, well, in a clinical setting, we're not going to take somebody's nerves, take it to the lab, and then put it back in. So we said, what if we can apply TGF-beta and phosphorus directly on the nerve? So we took nerves, cut them, delayed the regeneration for 2 to 3 months, and then we apply either PBS, either saline or TGF-beta, and then we compare. And this is what this experiment is. And these have been published. And then what we wanted to find out is if you treat the injury site, does it affect the whole length of the nerve? Or do you have to treat the entire length of the nerve? Can you trigger some cellular response at the injury site to propagate along the distal stump to the muscle? So we wanted to see what happens in proximal to the injury site, and distal to the injury site, to see what happens over time. These are the outcome measures, looking at, counting the axons, gene profile, and then using immunohistochemistry to kind of see what happens with these regeneration genes. Now you can see, these are the 3 segments. Segment A, B, and C. Again, proximal to the injury site, and distal to the injury site. You can see with treatment with phosphorine and TGF-beta, there's always a significant increase in the number of axons that were generated. So it worked. The genes that were upregulated in the treatment group were quite significant, and the number of genes that are related to neurobiology or regeneration were quite significant in the treatment group. And I'm not sure why it's not showing. But the number of cells that were positive for RAGs were also quite significant. We counted them. This is just looking at Schwann cell reactivation. So the red is S100, and P75, the NGF lower molecular receptor, was actually activated in the Schwann cells. So those old Schwann cells can be reactivated. So in this case, we found macrophages. One of the things you find in Wallerian degeneration, the macrophages will infiltrate, interact with Schwann cells, they undergo some phagocytic activities, but they also promote regeneration. Without Wallerian degeneration, there's no regeneration. So Wallerian degeneration is a preparatory phase for axons to be able to grow back. Okay? And this is showing that B2 is a receptor for the regolith, which is what regulates Schwann cell proliferation. And that also, when we do the treatment with TGF-beta, B2 is also upregulated. Key findings: we can reactivate Schwann cells and macrophages, we can promote regeneration along the whole length. So treatment at the injury site is sufficient along the whole length. And so essentially that was the same. So we were able to conclude, okay, now all we need to worry about, if you use a guidance channel, you can either use a mini-osmotic pump to infuse treatment at the injury site, and that would be sufficient to treat the nerve. But, so this is the positive part. You treat the nerve, you get the right genes and molecules to be upregulated, but there must be something else that's being downregulated to prevent, so that the nerves can grow. So SMART and FGF came to mind. Again, I'm showing you the highlights of the things we thought. We did a lot more experiment with this. So the bottom line is that TGF-beta binds to SMART receptors. And SMART7 is the one that actually kind of regulates the effect of TGF-beta in terms of gene transcription. So we wanted to see what SMART7 is doing with TGF-beta. Same experiment, we took the same tissues and we looked at the genes. Look at SMART7 and then FGF. This is what we're looking for. And you can see, so D is the distal to the injury site, and S is the site of the irreparable repair. So what you can see is that all SMARTs are significantly elevated, especially SMART7. So we think SMART7, so TGF-beta normally can induce fibrosis, at least in the liver. So we say, why is TGF-beta in the nerve injury is promoting nerve regeneration? Our work regulates that. So our theory, our hypothesis is that SMART7 actually, so if you look at the Western blot, this was PCR, this is Western blot, just looking at the protein. The same thing, SMART7 is upregulated. So we think that this is looking at, so then the SMART7 is co-localizing to Schwann cells. So TGF-beta effect is on the Schwann cells. We think that SMART7 is actually It's a negative feedback to the TGF-beta effect. So it doesn't go through the fibrotic route, but it goes through the regenerative route. So that's what we think is going on. So bottom line, SMART7 ameliorate the fibrotic effect of the therapy of the effect of TGF-beta, thereby improving regeneration. FGF, nobody really knows what it does, at least in the peripheral nervous system. We thought it might have a role, but it's typically known to induce scar tissue after nerve injuries. It's known to induce scar tissue. So if you knock out FGF in mice, neurogenesis, synaptic formation improves. So somehow FGF has a negative effect on neurogenesis. So we wanted to see what role they played in the effect of TGF-beta. This is what we do. We use both in vivo and in vitro to see what the effect is on Schwann cells, what the effect is on the nerve. So we use immunohistochemistry, PCR, to see what's going on. So this is showing you, this is looking at FGF in PBS treated samples, and this is FGF resistant TGF-beta. You can see in the PBS sample, which is the top one here, FGF is upregulated. It's completely high. But in all the FK5 and TGF-beta treatment, there's no upregulation. So somehow TGF-beta suppresses FGF expression, thereby reducing fibrosis and allowing nerve to regenerate. And then this is now looking at in vitro, looking at the Schwann cell. You can see the one that's going down is down-regulated. So if you look at, so the block white is control, and phospholine TGF-beta, and a combination of phospholine and TGF-beta. So that's the label there. So you can see here, with all the treatment, without treatment FGF is up, with treatment FGF is down. Myelin basic protein is the myelinating phase of Schwann cells. After an injury, it goes from myelinating to regenerative mode. So the myelin basic protein is downregulated. So this is consistent with what we found in vivo, that TGF-beta actually downregulates FGF. So this is the first report in the FGF is expressed in Schwann cells, reduces FGF expression by TGF-beta, that we think this is one of the mechanisms through which TGF-beta promotes regeneration. And maybe an aspect that we need to look at to kind of really develop this combination therapy to get nerves to go faster, to go better. Okay. I'm going to take you on another journey in the next 5 minutes. I highlighted the two other roles. So that was my professor role in the lab, doing research and all that stuff. Now I'm going to describe a little bit my administrative role, which is the system chairman. What does that mean? Co-medical director of the Neuroscience Institute. This is something I think is the future of how medicine is going to work. In those days where we have silos of departments, neurology, neurosurgery, general surgery, patients are looking for people to work together to take care of their needs. The patient doesn't care what your specialty is. I'm coming to your clinic, I have a headache, whether it's a neurologist or a neurosurgeon, they want all of you to work together, which is what we call patient-centered, team-based care. That's what patients, especially these days, that's what everybody wants. So when I came to Oshna in about 12 years ago, we only had 2 neurosurgeons and we had 3 neurologists. Our program was not developed. One of the things I pushed for was, so the CEO had back problems. So he came to see me. So for him to get care, the CEO, the chief of the hospital, he had to have 6 appointments for somebody to take care of his back problems. He went to see a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, a physical medicine and rehabilitation doctor, his primary care, everybody ordering different tests, everybody prescribing different medicine. He was just confused. I said, look, what do you think about just having a centralized system Well, that's the concept of back and spine center. That's how I started back and spine center in Arsenal. We have a centralized system. We have one inlet. Patient calls one number. We look at the patient history. We refer the patient to the most appropriate provider the first time around. There's no dancing around. That person organizes the test, says the patient does the non-surgical management, and then they refer to the surgeons as needed or to pain management. So when I run my clinic now, I only see patients that need to see me. So I think that's what patients are going to want. One-stop shopping, seeing the most appropriate provider the first time around. So I'm sorry this is not projecting well, but neurological issues are on the rise in the United States, so we have to do something different. Nobody knows everything. We have to work together as a team. And so this is our journey. We started as departments, and eventually we become a neuroscience institute. The Neuroscience Institute is a big team of people. By the time I stepped down in January, we had 120 provider physicians that reported up to me. 120 physicians, providers. We had a plan. America is known for you gotta have a plan. This is our plan to win. We need to have an engaged team. We need to make sure we're providing, we're demonstrating our value. We need to make sure we focus on academia, and we continue to improve our reputation. We have strategies in each column on how we're going to accomplish that. This was something that we got trained as I evolve as a leader. So every time we want to do something, we make sure we check all those boxes. Otherwise, we're not going to do it. This is the Neuroscience Institute. This is where all the 120 physicians were all working together under the same umbrella. So we developed centers of excellence. The 4 core departments were neurosurgery, neuroclinical care, neurology, and physical medicine and rehabilitation. Everybody worked together. So I told you when I started, 3 neurosurgeons. By the time I stepped down, 15 neurosurgeons. 15. We went all across the region, which went from 300 cases to 3,000 cases a year. That's how prestigious we became. So this is the numbers. So 3 to 15 neurosurgeons, 3 to about 70 neurologists in our institution. 8, when we started, we didn't have a new ICU. Now we have a 40-bed neurological ICU. Just dedicated to neurosurgery patients. And Professor Enchef, I think I took you around. I gave you a tour when you came, yeah. And then physiatrists, mid-level providers, they're like nurse practitioners, physician assistants, but they also see patients. So we had about over 30 of those. Then basic science researchers and clinical researchers, there were also a lot of them in the department. You can't do research by yourself. As a full-time clinician, there's no way I can do research just by myself alone. We need a team and collaborating with other people. I've been fortunate to have trained a lot of residents. I think I've been involved in the training of probably 30 or 40 residents in my career and international fellows. These are some residents that we trained. Dr. Klein, he was a visiting professor with us. That's the Klein, he was 82 at that time, 82. And these are some of our residents. I made sure we maintain international culture. Father George taught me that. If you look at all these people, I took this picture about 3-4 years ago. These are the people that we trained. He's from Greece. He's just an American. He's from Saudi Arabia. He's from India, Vietnam, Nigeria, Montreal. We maintain VHF. We maintain international standards. There's something to be said about mixing it up. There's something to be said about learning other people's culture. There's something to be said about knowing that other people have something to offer. Nobody knows it all. There's no need to cage yourself in. Everybody has something to offer. Knowledge, culture, intermingle, and produce something beautiful. I love this picture. Some of them are fellows, some of them were residents. We had a Bulgarian visitor as well. Professor Enchef. This was, and his chief resident, I'm not sure whether he's here. He's not here. Okay. So this was this year, last year? Last year. So this was in our conference room. That was my surgery day. So up here, myself, this is the foyer of our hospital. This is the entrance of the foyer of our hospital. So he came, and I showed him the history of our conference room. And I showed him that, a Bulgarian kid trained here. I was the first black chairman, medical director of the Neuroscience Institute. They never had that before, but they were open-minded. They said, this kid has something to offer. He has new ideas. He wants to do something different. Let's give him a chance. We had a good strategy. We grow the volume. Because when you have something good, everybody wants to come to you. If you improve your quality, you focus on patients, you work together, you get good outcomes, everybody wants to come to you. So, what does it mean to be system chairman? So, I oversee neurosurgery in about 8 or 10 hospitals. By the time I retired, we had neurosurgery happening in 10 hospitals. Those were the hospitals. I'll show you again. These are our facilities in different regions. That's the big hospital. This is the 500-bed hospital. That's the one that Professor Anchef came to. We increase the revenue. The better you get, the more quality goes up, the more patients you see. We went from a couple $1 million to a few $100 million generating for the organization. We became top 50 in the country. We not only increase in volume, we increase in quality. By the time I stepped down, the neuroscience program went from not being known to being number 23 in the United States, which essentially means, this is American arrogance, which essentially means in the world. This is by US News and World Report, and this is based on patient satisfaction, quality of care, outcomes, and all of this. It's very objective, and research as well, and reputation. So we became 23 in the world. It wasn't because I was asked for special talent, it was because I had a good team. Every single center of excellence, I recruited a leader. I think if you could be the best doctor, but if you're not a leader, I wouldn't recruit you. If you don't have the right culture, the right mindset, I don't want you. You have to be able to understand our culture. We all are equal, we all work together. If the culture, there's no cultural fit, you could be the best, I don't want you. You just need one bad egg to mess it all up. So, the last 5 slides. So I'm going to be 50 next year, 50. And then, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this slide. This is this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When we all start out in life, we just want to take care of the basic needs. We just want to be able to take care of our physiological needs. We want to have food to eat, a place to sleep, have a good time. And as you go on in life, you begin to think about what else. The question of what else. I never stop. My wife says, you need to slow down and smell the flowers and enjoy the moment. Because you're always thinking, what's the next thing you can do? Sometimes you have to slow down. I'm learning to do that. But then, I think at this level, I've been blessed by God to be able to get to where I am. I think right now, I'm trying to do what's the next big thing. Whatever I engage myself in, of course I have to gather the right team, the right people that will work with me, but it needs to be something bigger than what I've just done. And it's not because of magic, it's because I'm going to use the same skill set, the same strategy to pull people together to work together with me. So I'm looking to self-actualization. What is it? How can I take all the skills I've learned from Bulgaria, from Canada, from US, to now go back from research to leadership to administration and pull all of that together to help my people? Last story. So most people now in Nigeria, so the Ocean Health System is a private academic health system. It was started by 5 people. 5 surgeons that just didn't want to work in the public hospital, they went and started their own group. It was a good practice, is a private academic organization with a medical school, residency, and fellowship. Now, Oshna Health System, started by 5 people, is a $5.5 billion company with over 1,200 physicians. But what did they have working for them? They had the right vision, the right mission, the right strategy. They were very focused. I learned all of that through Oshna. So when I got into the system, I said, okay. So, I did everything I did with neuroscience. I said, now they have Oshna International, which typically did work in Middle East, South America, but they never looked at Africa. I said, okay. So I started going back to Africa and doing medical missions, work with people in Nigeria, and then somehow we were able to convince them to include Africa in the Oshna International portfolio. So I stepped down. I don't believe in being chairman or head of anything forever. I think you need to recycle it. I was chairman for like 10 years. Okay, somebody else. I trained somebody else to replace me. My vice chairman took over. Then I stepped aside to take on this new task. So I'm now medical director of international medicine for Africa. So I spend half of my time in Africa, half of my time in the United States. But in order to be able to define our mission, our vision, our strategy, and make sure we do things the right way, we created a company. So a company called RSZ Global. RSZ Global, I'm the CEO and the chairman of the board of RSZ Global. My good friend, Moses, worked with me quite a bit in terms of trying, again, bringing the team together. I know this the brilliant guy in IT. He came, he gives me advice, he works with us to be able to grow the company. Now we are now known as one of the better hospital management company in Nigeria, which means in Sub-Saharan Africa. So you have to be the change you want to see in the world. There's no way God cannot give you something. If you have so much and you think that you have too much, you're just being stupid. God never gives you excess. He has a purpose for everything He's giving to you. You have to figure it out. All of us have a purpose. All these trainings and exposure that I've had, there's something else that He wants me to use it for. You just have to figure it out. So, there was never a time in my mind that I thought I was going to live and die in the United States. I've always wanted to go home. Home is Nigeria. I was never somebody who wanted to immigrate to the United States and just stay there and die there. No. I always wanted to go back home. Because I know that God didn't give me all these skills and expertise and knowledge and all these successes so that I could go and use it just in the United States. So we're trying to use our influence and connection to get good medicine, good health care to our people back in Nigeria. So Nelson Mandela said, so home is where the heart is. I think Africa is one of the best victims. He says it best. There's no greater joy, greater gift than giving. Giving without expecting anything back in return. I showed you where I grew up at the beginning of my presentation. This is the house. That's the house at the top. Right here. That's the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of Oshna Health System. The guy that turned Oshna from a 5-people company to a $5.5 billion company. That's him in Nigeria, in front of my house, where I grew up. That's Dr. Pat Quinn. I said, you need to come and see. Come. But because he respected what I've done for the organization in the United States, he left his family, he left his comfort in America, came to Nigeria, went to the ghetto. I said, you have to see where I grew up. If you don't see where I grew up, you can't understand what's driving me from within. Come and see. He went to my house. That same house. And this is him in the compound in my primary school. We went back to the compound where I went to elementary school. I said, look, let me take you through my journey so that you can tell, you understand what's driving from inside. So, Ulster International, RNZ Global, now we have a joint collaborative agreement where we represent Ulster in Sub-Saharan Africa. So, it's coming full circle, back to the basics, back to Africa. But all of that wouldn't have happened this man hadn't given me a chance, Father George. He gave me an opportunity to go, to think beyond imagination, to think about something bigger than what I could have imagined in my life. Do research, be persistent. You have to be able to, if you can't imagine it, you can't do it. So all these things that you go to class, you study, this physiology and anatomy, it's beyond that. You always have to kind of be able to think what you want to see yourself 3 to 5 years from now. God willing, with good health. So I like this picture because so this is Dr. Patrick Cullen, this is Dr. Anna Hatz. Anna is the Vice President for Ulster International. Cullen is the CEO of the company. Dr. Cullen is one of the most innovative and kind-hearted person I've ever known. A lot of my leadership style, I learned from him. So when he came home, when he came with me to Nigeria, I said, aren't you scared? He said, if I'm with you, I'm fine. I said, I'm sure you'll take care of everything. When we went there, we did take some bodyguards and stuff like that, but he had fun. So, I'm going to say this. This is critical for all the medical students and people that are trying to start their career. Remember this. Read it for some time and just try and digest it. Because, and this is what it says. When people say you're strong, you've done a lot of amazing things, hey, kudos, you've done some things. Strength doesn't come from what you think you can do. Like an exam, pass an exam. We all can do that. We can do that. You can drive a car, you can buy a house, you can do all these things. Strength comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't do. That's what gives you strength. That's how you can know that some of your efforts, your energy, people you brought together are actually helping you to accomplish something. That's strength. Why do I put that slide off? Because this man is an epitome of strength and mentorship. Without him being strong and going against the norm. The norm at that time was to say, look, Moses was here. The norm at that time was everybody was afraid of the unknown. Everybody was afraid of the unknown. They made a lot of assumptions. One of the beauty of America is Americans will give you an opportunity regardless of your race, creed, religion, as long as you can produce. As long as you can produce. That's why they call land of opportunities. Someone like me, in the ghetto of Lagos, leading the neuroscience program for the $5.5 billion company. Where else in the world would that happen? Because everybody else put a ceiling on what you can do, depending on your race, skin color, your religion, your creed. Everybody else put a ceiling. In the United States, there's still issues, it's not perfect, but if you can produce, if you can lead, if you have a skill set, you can be successful, we give you an opportunity. Father George saw that. He saw that a few years ago. He saw that. He said, you told me 2 nights ago, he said, my only criterion for welcoming people to my life was curiosity. Curiosity of mind. This kid was interested in research, let's give him a chance. That's strong. That's doing something that nobody else could have thought of. That's why I say. And then mentorship, giving you opportunities, opening doors. He opened the door, I did what I needed to do with it. I could have messed it up. But he saw the talent, he saw his kids, and Tom was one of his kids, and Tom is doing fantastic now. This is a beautiful story. He stepped down and took over. This place is transformed, and he's very proud of it. Carmen is doing fantastic at Cambridge. They were anesthesiologists, cardiac anesthesiologists, doing wonderful things. I saw Roja the other day. She looked good. She's happy. She's happy with her family. She's doing what she wants to do. He made that happen for all of us. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Thank you. And for listening to what I have to say. That's my story. Thank you.
Wally, you know, from lecturer to moderator of discussion, please.
Yes, sir. It's always Father George, always keeping us on the straight. So I think, Anton, you can moderate this session. Questions, comments, please. Comments, questions?
Have you tried to apply TGF plus neural together?
TGF better with plus what? Plus neural is always
Neural, because you showed the ERB to expression.
So there was a group, I think in Germany, that they looked at the expression of her B2 and B4, and they wanted to see what happens with time. The same timeline that insurance cells decline, that's when the expression goes away. So what we did, we didn't use neuroglin, but we used NGF, BDNF, and GDNF. We made a small pump, and we put it in with a chronic injury. It's a dose-dependent effect. If you put too much, it actually has a negative effect. It's a dose, so we've used other stuff, not neuroglin, but we've used other stuff to promote regeneration. I didn't show that. It does work. It will promote regeneration to some extent, and then it overdose, it goes down.
Do you think that creating a scaffold along the migration course would additionally improve the outcome?
So there's a grant we're working on where we're trying to do bioprinting, 3D power bioprinting, and incorporating stem cells and some molecules in the bioprinted material too. So I think it should work. The guidance channels they have now, you can only go 1 or 2 centimeters in clinical use. But we're hoping with stem cells, with other molecules you can use it for a longer distance.
Questions on the back?
I don't have a question, I have a comment.
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for your presentation. In my opinion, it was very, very informative, but the main thing, in my opinion, is why I was so impressed with your presentation. It has shown the process, and to become a scientist, you have to have it inside you, and you have a lot of passion, and that process, it's very impressive, and thank you very much for that passion and you being here to present everything you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. What year are you in? Are you a medical student or?
No, I was a professor.
Where?
Anatomy.
Okay. Good. One of your okay. Good to know. Yes, ma'am. I am not, and I don't have any experience in that area. But I do know people that are trying to capture the signals from the nerves through computer interface to kind of move the foot and the leg. And I think when people at Walter Reed, they try to do that, where you can actually, like amputees, or what victims, they can actually use capture the signal and use that to mobilize the motor legs. I don't have any experience with that.
Other questions? Yes, please.
Well, I'm very pleased to meet you in person after hearing so much about you from George and Anton. My question is a little bit more practical. Please tell us something more about this telemetric medicine we are doing in Nigeria. How these patients with acute stroke are evaluated in order to be performed with thrombolysis treatment in Bulgaria. It's not progressing very well. And I remember where we did thrombolysis for acute myocardial infarctions in the late 90s, in the beginning of the 21st century. We had very many patients. Of course, now there is a limit, third or fourth hour. This is the beginning. But how do you do it telemetrically in Nigeria?
So the question was, how do you? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
How do you manage acute patients with telemedicine? And I think one of the things we're doing with R&D Global is to redefine access. So one of the challenges we identify in Sub-Saharan Africa is we would never train enough doctors to manage all the patients that we have. So we have 180 million Nigerians. So we will never train enough stroke neurologists to manage the stroke patients in Nigeria. So we're using technology to connect them together, which is virtual access. So in my hospital, one of the hospitals that we manage is a 65-bed hospital, Michelle. So what we've done is, in the US, we had a network of stroke, what we call telestroke centers. So there's a cart that you can wheel to the patient, and the patient can be seen. You can even do pupillary exams, you can do neurologic exam, you can listen to the lungs, you can listen to the heart, you can look at the CT scan. The most important thing that they have to get access to CT scan of the brain quickly, because you're time limited. You get a CT scan, so they come to the emergency room. So in my hospital in New Orleans, you get a stroke code, the patient reports stroke code, CT scan, TPA. We've narrowed it down to 45 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes. Everybody knows what they need to do. So there's some challenges in Sub-Saharan Africa, but what we're trying to do is we're now using iPad. We're going to use iPad instead of the wheel. We use iPad. So as the patient comes in, they dial into New Orleans. The stroke neurologist in New Orleans is talking to them as they're moving the patient to CT scan. And somebody is drawing the blood in the ambulance. They're getting the blood result. As we get there, they look at the CT scan. They say, okay, this patient is still within the window, UTPA. So you have to streamline. So thinking out of the box, connecting physicians, New Orleans, Nigeria. So that's some of the innovative stuff that we try to do. How do what?
It's round the clock, it's all the time
Somebody's always on call.
accessible.
Somebody's always on call. Somebody's always on call. Eventually, we're going to now connect Nigerians to Nigerians. So in the United States, we have about 5,000 Nigerian physicians. Eventually, we're going to need Nigerian neurologists to treat Nigerian patients because of language barriers sometimes. And it's not just stroke. We have tele-ICU now. We have tele-hospital medicine. Our radiology report from Nigeria is being read in the United States. You can just upload the images, and the radiologist in the US reads the images. So it's technology. We know that in the next few years now, AI will probably be able to interpret some images without radiologists. So we all have to be open-minded in terms of how we do medicine. Well, it's a great question. It's like research. I love this kind of stuff. We need this innovative stuff.
One more question here. So, you're speaking of strokes. after strokes, patients who underwent strokes, and what's the recovery rate or something like that? Is it promising?
So most people, so the question was ECIC bypass. Let's not carotid to intracarotid bypass. So if the patient has a block in the distal branches, let's say the proximal branches of the carotid, how do you get blood supply from the neck straight to the brain? ECIC bypass. A lot of it depends on the presentation, the extent of the stroke, and most of the patients that we tend to do that for are patients that probably have moyamoya disease, with severe stenosis. A lot of people are beginning to not do too many of that because of endovascular. We can go through the groin now, we can go and get into the vessel. With the proximal stenosis, you can open it up. But I think one of our senior colleagues, I don't do those myself, one of our senior colleagues still does some of that. I think it works well. It works well. So, Professor Enchep, do you have experience with those?
Endovascular.
ECIC bypass.
Actually, we don't use it. There were some European studies and North American studies in the past that they pointed that the best medical treatment is better than the surgical treatment. But nowadays, some clinics they start to again. For example, in Greece, in Athens, there is similar, but still there is no randomized control study proving the benefits.
I don't do them personally, but one of my guys will do them for moyamoya disease.
Actually, more disease is extremely rare for our country. We have some patients, but we could perform muscle, cerebral
transposition.
Yes. So I would use the opportunity. Congratulations! It was really a great lecture. We are happy to have you here in Varna. I'm so proud. I'm not a graduate of Medical University of Varna. I'm a graduate of Medical University of Sofia, but that's pity for me. I your father George. But congratulations to you, Professor Chaldakov.
You too.
We'll meet you tomorrow. I will use the chance. Tomorrow is another lecture of Professor Chaldakov. It's going to be a part of the course of neurosurgery in St. Marina Hospital. (5:15). (5:15) is the lecture, so you are invited also if you get interested. If you are interested in neurosurgery, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Because we are now in adipobiology vein, you know, Mexico 5th International Symposium on adipobiology and pharmacology. Let me ask you a question related to spine and adipose tissue. There is peridural adipose tissue. You know,
we see it all the time,
But do you have any research taking this adipose tissue to investigate adipokines and other signaling molecule produced by adipose tissue cells, how they influence repairing, regeneration, etc. So if not, let's establish one cooperative research project, peridural adipose tissue, and your staff, neurosurgeon, our department, Bosnia Institute, step by step, you attend 5th International after 2-3 years.
Absolutely. You see, he's always thinking of a partnership. So some people have used skin-derived stem cells for nerve injury and spinal cord injury. They've used amniotic fluid stem cells, or you can get stem cells, fat, subcutaneous fat derived stem cells, adipose derived. So I think that's a brilliant idea to use adipose tissue from the central nervous system from around the spine and use that to be able to promote it. They may have different characteristics and stem cell producing characteristics better than the other ones we've used. So
keep in mind,
let's do it.
Individual.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's always things.
It's okay. So let's give time for discussion further to be on liquid auditorium. Now, what is time for giving you some written appreciation. appreciation here. Two of them are in duplicate. Bulgarian and English. The third one is only first time for 5 minutes before lecture appreciation. See? Признателност. We are giving this to all our lectures. Doesn't matter Bulgarian, Chinese, Nigerian, or American. And in English. So, okay, признателност and in appreciation. Now, in bilingual again, English, certificate for re-election guest professor of our university to particularly to the Department of the Cell Biology. Okay, one English and Bulgarian, on behalf of rector and head of department of anatomy and cell biology. The only such department in Bulgaria. Not true.
Yes.
So we are. And the third one is Professor Ali Suleiman, all titles. You are elected honorary member of the Bulgarian Society for Cell Biology for your contribution to neuroscience, neurosurgery, and medical friendship. Chairman,
Father George.
that is yours. Appreciation, it's about liquid appreciation, it's about liquid power to be done at home or here or in school. Up to you.
Thank you very much.
Picture. My wife is working on the yellow tonight. I wrote it. This is tradition, Tony. Tradition. Just for the kind.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.